In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. And as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, Harbor and Shellfish Advisory Board is convening by video conference via Zoom app, as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. For Zoom meetings, please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recordings. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. We're now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking, and please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. For items with public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. All right, I see Mr. Brace. State your
Yes.
name. Yes, sir. Dave Bossy. Present.
Yep.
Tom Sidlowski.
Present.
Present. Thank you. I'm going to go straight to the agenda.
And we also have Ginger.
Ginger.
I'm on
thank
phone.
you.
I'm here.
Hi, Ginger. All
Hi,
right.
hi, Andy.
I'm calling to order this meeting of the Harbor and Shellfish Advisory Board, December 1st, 2020, about 5:30 p.m. Not further. Do we have an approval of tonight's agenda?
So moved. This is
Second.
Ginger.
Been moved by Ginger, seconded by Mr. Bossy. All in favor? Mr. Sidlowski, yes?
Aye.
Mr. Brace?
Aye.
Mr. Lowell, aye. Approval of draft minutes, November 17th, 2020.
And Mr. Lowell. And so I forgot to put on the agenda the minutes of November 3rd, which we didn't have the quorum to vote on at the last meeting.
I can start with October 20th, actually.
Yeah, that one as well.
Okay.
So
Uh, Shall we back up to October 20th?
sure. Yep.
All right, there was one change I requested, and I see it's still there. Did you have any issues with,
Just remind me of what it is.
I'm sorry?
Remind me of what the change was.
To remove the statement that we spoke about speaking to Sheila's superiors?
Well, we have to notice that. We have to notice that on the, it has to be an item on the agenda to do that, which is what I explained at the November 3rd meeting. And what I gather from speaking to you on the phone was that you made that offer to Sheila and she just said thank you, and she didn't say whether she wanted it removed or not. So I didn't I didn't proceed because we didn't hear from her that, yes, she wanted it removed. She just said, thank you that you were offering that.
All right.
So we need to ask her, you need to ask her, yes, does she want that removed? And if so, then we put it on an agenda and then we take a vote on it.
Okay, I just don't recall any other revisions having to be done this way, Peter. But seeing as it was a draft, they're draft minutes, but I
That's
don't.
that's what I got from the town clerk's office.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll move forward with if the rest of the board is happy with approving the minutes of October 20th, or if there are any changes or a motion to approve them, please do so now. Board members.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a
Second.
second? Motion's been made by Mr. Bossy, seconded by Mr. Brace. Do we have an approval, Mr. Sadowski?
I'm abstaining. I wasn't at the meeting.
Okay. Ms. Andrews,
Aye.
you approve? All right, I'm going to abstain from this vote. So if it can be approved with the three of you, please do so.
I don't believe it can. I think we have to.
No,
We got to have a quorum.
got to have a quorum for that. All
So
right,
we should hold that over. We have to hold it over.
all right. November 3rd. Draft minutes. Any revisions or a motion to approve?
I would like to make one clarification. Hate to go back on the slip lottery. Where it says I felt that the same group got the slips, I was saying that there might be the appearance that the people would have the same thing. I was more concerned about the appearance. I have no idea what actually happened in that. So, Peter, if you could just add that I'm looking at the appearance, I'm not claiming that the same people get it every year. And with that, I would move to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Mr.
Bossy,
Chairman?
please. Mr. Bossy,
I just wanted to say I have to abstain on this because I wasn't present at this meeting, so we're not going to have a quorum for this one either. We can go ahead and adjust it, but we don't have a quorum.
well, we may, Dave. Ginger?
Okay.
I'm looking at them again. I think this was the one where we were talking about the let's see. Oh, oh gosh. Now I read a whole bunch of
you
them,
were
but I
absent,
can't
Ginger.
remember. I was absent on the 3rd.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Then it's a different set of minutes that I had a comment on. So I have to abstain from the 3rd anyway, since I wasn't there.
and Dave, Mr. Bossy, did you say the same?
Yes, I did.
Okay, for lack of having a quorum to vote on this, we'll move forward to the November 17th minutes.
Okay.
Do we have any revisions for November 17th? Mr. Sadowski,
I move to approve.
is there a second?
I actually thought that there were quite a few typos in the, what was it, the old business section? Where is that? Sorry. I think it was November 17. It wasn't there. No. Well, now I can't seem to find it. There was one. There was one that I read, which obviously I made the notes wrong. Oh. It was on the 3rd, but it was just there were a bunch of typos in the old business section on November 3rd. So even though I wasn't there, Peter, I could say check for typos.
Okay.
I don't have anything, I don't think, for the 17th to.
Okay, well, Mr. Sidlowski
okay.
moved to approve November 17th minutes. We don't have a second yet. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded, made by Mr. Sidlowski, seconded by Ms. Andrews. All in favor of approving November 17th minutes? Mr. Brace,
Aye.
Mr. Bossy,
Yes,
I approve as well. All right, under Chairman's report, Nantucket Shellfish Association. Just a quick update on the last Shellfish Association meeting, which is also being done by Zoom. For some reason, I was able to get in there without a problem. Really sorry for tonight. I'm very sorry, you guys, for holding you all up. Please accept my apology. The Shellfish Association is concerned about the price of the scallops and also the marketing, and they want to see some more mail order. They're going to try to work on some advertising to get it out there that most of the fish markets will ship small amounts of scallops or large amounts of scallops with dry ice. They'll ship them across the country. So they're hoping, to help out with getting the price boosted up. Just thought I'd share that with you. Marine Department report tonight. I don't see Ms. Lucy with us. I did mention to her that we will be putting together any suggestions, changes to regulations for liveaboards that we may have. She said she will be able to join us at our next meeting so that we can go over all of these. So I'm asking the board to please have everything in order. If you have something tonight you want to talk about, we can certainly do that. And she had also, she talked to both boat lines, and she actually went to a meeting, and they want to be in full compliance with our wishes, both boat lines, at least the High Line and the steamship. She did not mention the several others, fast ferries that come in during the season.
So, Mr. Chairman, I sent letters to all four. I passed the information on to Ms. Riley so that she can send it to them as well.
Thank you, Mr. Brace. Anybody else want to speak on Marine Department report or lack thereof? If not, we'll move forward to natural resources. Tara?
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
I don't really have too much to report. Jeff asked me to pass on that we have 15 to 20 scallopers or boats still going, and they're usually in around 11 a.m. in the morning with their limits. And basically we're just doing a lot of maintenance at the hatchery. We've got everything torn apart and just repainting, fixing everything that's going on. I just transferred all our algae. We're starting that up probably in a couple weeks, getting ready to get ready for the 2021 season. Other than that, I'm working on some remote classes for the 8th grade public school. Teaching just an introduction to shellfish production and that sort of thing remotely for them, since we're not able to really get into the schools right now. And other than that, I think that's all I have. It's been a little quiet. We haven't heard back from the DMF on that closure issue with Mattakit, and it's something that has really been bothering us. And so if Jeff is unable to get a response from them in the next couple days, I think we'll probably enlist the BOS and maybe ask you guys to write them a letter as well, asking for some support in getting this information and some clarification on this issue, because we haven't heard anything via Jeff's been sending some emails, and I don't think anyone at the DMF is actually in the office, so it's been really difficult to get that information back.
Interesting. Okay. Well, thank you, Tara. Any questions or comments from the board for natural resources? Tara, I think you may have had to leave near the end of the last meeting when we talked about the sand being found in scallops, and it's under old business, but I'd like to kind of just bring it up with you right now. Having gone to a couple of shanties and listened to the guys opening and seeing for myself how much sand is inside so many of the scallops, and how much washing they go through to try to keep the sand out of the product. At least a couple of guys I know are doing that, but you know, they're basically saying we're not seeing any eelgrass, and you know, the sand to me, you know, brings me right to all the erosion around the harbor and how much sand has gone into our harbor over the years, since 1991, really, and was when all the changes began with the No Name storm. And do you know of Jeff was working on a dredging plan? I'm wondering, you know, if we can. I know how difficult it is to get the dredging approvals, but I'm wondering how we can advocate for at least a test area to take some of this sand away from what used to be an eelgrass bed and see if it helps in eelgrass recovery. In a meeting several years ago, I mentioned before, both Cormac Collier was present. He was land counsel at the time. He was speaking about the eelgrass restoration project. I asked him if eelgrass can survive in the granular sand that we find on the beaches. He said it really needs a muddy base for its root system. And then Jeff chimed in that he's heard from people who set moorings, used to set them in 6 feet of water. Now some of them are in 4 feet of water, and they're setting their mooring in the same place. And this tells me there's a lot of sand in our harbor. And when we look at the shorelines and compare back to what the shorelines looked like 30 years ago, and then take into consideration that, you know, the normal erosion that we're used to seeing on southern and eastern shores of the island, that sand can travel all the way around the island. And I feel that the sand that's eroding inside our harbors is not leaving the harbor, it's staying in the harbor and having a negative impact on eelgrass beds and also the depth of our harbor. So I'm just wondering if this can be looked into more from a biologist standpoint, from anybody who can help out with this at Natural Resources and give us a more scientific analogy of this, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry I wasn't there for that part of the discussion. I have been thinking about it quite a bit, and I've also talked to some openers. I've heard mixed reviews about the sand and the scallops. Some people aren't really thinking it's a concern, and then other people are thinking that it's excessive. My first thought as a biologist is, yeah, I mean, there's shifting sand all over the island, and a lot of shoaling is taking place, and maybe it's accelerated. You know, maybe we're having an increase in storms and winds that we haven't had in the past. The eelgrass does act as an anchor to keep that sand in place. But at the same time, our environment's changing, and, you know, maybe I personally think it's probably time to look at the actual dredges themselves. You know, people are scalloping, maybe those dredges are weighted too heavy, and maybe they're digging in the sand more because the eelgrass isn't there. And maybe that's one of the reasons why some of the sand is coming up in the scallops. So, I mean, right now there's a limit on the weight of the dredges. I think it's 35 pounds.
Yes.
And that isn't something that I think is probably enforced on a regular basis like it should be. Like, I think they probably, JC might do it at the beginning of the year, but maybe it's something that, you know, we need to make sure it's on the checklist to check off. But perhaps, you know, it's time to look at that too and do some test dredging with, you know, something slightly lighter and see if those scallops are coming up sandy. I mean, I don't think, I mean, of course we want to restore eelgrass and plant it, but I think in the meantime, we need to like kind of go at this from a lot of different angles and think about, you know, ways, you know, other ways besides just restoring eelgrass.
I
Okay.
have a comment.
Ginger, please.
Yeah, you know, too much weight is a well-known issue with digging into the sand, and I felt that the guys who were complaining are really experienced fishermen and know when to lighten up their dredges. So I didn't see that as you know, a likely occurrence. Just that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ginger. Anybody else, board members? Okay. If there's nothing else for natural resources, I'll take any public comment on Marine Department of Natural Resources reports. If there's nothing from the public, I'll move into old business. Land bank, Petrol landing plans. I haven't done any research. Obviously, these plans are out there as far as seeing a drawing of what they've proposed and what's being appealed by the neighbors. I believe I mentioned at last week's meeting that the appeal is nearing its end, according to Jesse Bell at the land bank office, and our suggestions will be welcomed by them. And you know, they're hoping the appeal is denied and they can move forward with their plans. Now that this was brought to our attention to get back on the agenda by Jim Sherlin. It caught his eye because the land bank recently acquired the building next to Petrol Landing. So there'll be a bit more space to work with there. I've asked Jim recently to look into some of the past uses at Petrol Landing, because right now the land bank is not going to allow any commercial use from the area. And you know, Jim was like, gosh, what a wonderful place to unload scallops. And I was thinking, well, maybe we can try to encourage the land bank to allow off-season commercial use, at least during the scallop season. And let's try to break the ice that way with some commercial use there. Jim wrote a letter to the land bank. I don't know if he sent it out yet. This may be a draft letter. I'm going to read it. It's short. So just so the rest of you get an idea where he's coming from. So this is from Jim Sherlin. I'm writing you, the Nantucket Land Bank, to provide some input I have received from community members regarding one of your properties that has very special access. With the recent acquisition of the property abutting Petrol Landing, I feel the possibility of a community dock should be considered. We seem to be losing access to the water, especially in the ways of docks in the main harbor of Nantucket. There are only 2 docks that are available to the public in our great harbor. Children's Beach location, which is the only dock that you can get a vehicle close to a boat, but not right next to it. The town pier is the other location with handicap access, which is a long way from a vehicle. I feel that the location of Petrol Landing could greatly serve our community by providing better access for both of above situations and many more. This location would help older and handicapped members of the community access boats and the water. It could also provide better access for our local aquaculture farmers, fishermen, and the town, which all help to keep our waters clean and prosperous. This location would provide access for more local seafood, like the more local farmed vegetables that are currently grown on land bank properties. And the reason for that last sentence, that's the end of his letter, he wanted to make an argument that they don't want to allow commercial use here. They try to discourage commercial use on all of their land, but they do, in a way, allow commercial use at the community farm and also with the Maya Comet golf course. And I think he has a good point there. I've talked to Neil Patterson, the chairman of the Land Bank Commission. He's all about trying to get more use there. He feels that adding the commercial part to it at this point would create more discouragement to the neighbors. So it sounds like the Land Bank Commission has to do some tiptoeing with this because of the neighbors' appeal. Meantime, I think it would be smart for our board to, as I mentioned to Jim, look into past uses there. How did the land bank acquire it? Peter, you may know, did the Walker family own Petrol Landing? Steve Walker's dad, Dr. Walker. Steve Walker used to work off of Petrol Landing every day. I thought they owned it and either left it or sold it. Ginger may know. And
I don't.
Okay, but I know a lot of different uses took place there over the years, and I think it would be wise for us to find out what those uses were and how many are related to the fishery and commercial use. So I'd like to keep this on our agenda, of course, and especially with the appeal possibly coming to a decision in court. So I mean, the plan now, I believe, is about 140 or 160 foot long floating dock, but only 2 parking spaces, one being handicapped. So I'd like to see personally some more parking opened up there. It used to be a wonderful place to, you know, take your sub sandwich from Henry's and go sit and watch the harbor and eat your lunch, and it would be nice if it could be opened up simply for that also. But anyhow, I'll take any comments from the board, if any. Ginger?
Well, yeah, I have maybe not yet.
Okay, I just saw your square blink.
It's percolating in there, but I haven't got a coherent.
Well, this is here
version of
for all of us to digest and you know, do some research, and let's come back to the next meeting you know, with something something concrete, hopefully. Anybody else on Petrol Landing, board members? If not, I'll move forward to the excess sand being found in scallops. We touched on it a bit with Tara. If any other board members have anything they want to add to this, we'll take that discussion now. If not, I'd just like to add that, you know, I haven't been in the water this year. Last year, Tim Mooney took me diving, and I was really amazed at how the scallops are basically, you know, creating a little hollow in the sand, and they just kind of hang out there in the sand, and there was really very little eelgrass around at all. And I was surprised at how the scallops have adapted to kind of hide in this little divot they make in the sand, but obviously it's very easy for a dredge to coast right over them and scoop them up. So without any eelgrass in the way. But if there's no comments on excessive sand being found, we'll move forward. to the proposed pier, 46 Shimmo Pond Road. Do we have an update, Mr. Brace?
Yes. I called the planning office this afternoon. They said that the applicant is not on the agenda for the December 10 or the January 14th meeting. And then she said that they've got about another week to get on the agenda for December 10th. And then I emailed the administrative person named Eleanor for the ZBA and said, this is what I'm looking for. So we'll wait to hear back from her. But it'll be advertised in the paper and in the ads. It'll say, it'll say the address on there. And the current ad that's in the Inky doesn't have that address on there. So.
And which board did you question, Mr. Brace?
Zoning Board of Appeals.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? 46 Shimmo Pond Pier, discussion, comments? If not, we'll move forward to the oyster lease permit review with Mr. Lambrecht. Before I go to Mr. Lambrecht, anything board members want to say on this matter? If not, Mr. Lambrecht, do you have some new news for us?
I'm still continuing on. I'm just not as fast as I wish I could be, but I'm continuing on. I'm not doing anything else other than working on the boat. I'm getting there, piece by piece. Had some setbacks, but we'll get by.
All right, and have you heard from Mr. Carlson or?
No, I have made a number of attempts, and
Okay.
it may not be that important to him at that. No, I've left calls and said, will you call me back so we can make some kind of arrangement to get some kind of communication going. And basically what I wanted to do is let him know what's going on, where I'm at.
Yeah. Okay, well, your presence here means that you're pursuing the best that you can, and we appreciate that. Do you foresee your boat being a bit closer to?
Oh yeah, every day it's one step closer. One thing knocked off the list.
All right. Board members, any comments, questions for Mr. Lambrecht?
I think at the November 3rd meeting, or was it October 20th? I can't remember which, or it could have been the 17th. I think it might have been the 17th where you said, I think you were within 10 days of getting it to Clin's Marine.
Yeah, that's what my estimate was. It was on the 17th. Yes, definitely. And
Okay.
I'm not there.
Just checking.
Yeah.
All right, well, I don't want to take that comment the wrong way, that I mean, this is most likely on Mr. Carlson's radar. He was hoping to see if be able to do something by the end of the year. This is December 1st. The clock's ticking. I haven't heard from Mr. Carlson or Mr. Johnson. Maybe I'll run into Mr. Johnson down at the docks tomorrow morning and see if he has anything new to share. If not, if Jeff had something new to share, I'm sure he would have passed it on to Tara to read off at tonight's meeting. So I would imagine whatever Jeff has said in the past still stands today. So thanks for being here, Ted, and good luck with continuing your progress.
Would I be out of bounds by going and talking to JC at the docks?
Well, I'm not sure. Jeff is the top banana there. So
Exactly.
I mean, if you happen to see JC, you might ask him, has he heard anything new from Jeff? And you've tried to reach out a couple of times and haven't gotten a response. So I wouldn't project what that no response means. So that's why I said you got to stick with what he has said in the past.
Yeah.
and he really wants to see that gear. So that's down there on the bottom. So
So do I.
I can't imagine he's changed his mind at all. So, but hey, any good communication is good communication. So if you happen to be down there and you see JC, certainly approach him and tell him what you've just told us. He has mentioned to me that if we ever need him at a meeting, he's glad to join. If he had something, he really wanted to get down to the bottom of, I'm sure he'd be here, but you know what you got to do.
For sure.
All right. If there's nothing else on this, board members, I'll move forward to the letter to the ferry lines update. Mr. Brace.
Well, as I said earlier in the meeting, I sent the letters out. I got the addresses and the names of the people to send the letters to from Rob Ranney. And I sent the letter to the Steamship Authority and the High Line. And then I took the liberty of, at the beginning of the letters that I sent to Freedom Cruise Lines and Sea Streak, I put in italics, this letter was sent to Steamship Authority and the High Line, and realizing that Sea Streak and Freedom Cruise Lines are pretty much seasonal, but we wanted you guys to be aware of what we're requesting of the ferry captains, and we hope that you can comply with us. Something like that. I don't have it in front of me, but I wanted them to be included in the loop.
Okay.
So, because I know Sheila a couple of weeks ago called them and said that she's gotten them to comply. But I just couldn't get our letter out fast, that fast, because I had to write it, and you guys, we voted to have me write it on the 3rd. Then I had to find out from Erica what the protocol was. Could we actually do this? Then I had to write the letter and send it to her. She had to pass it on to Libby. Libby had to look at it. They had to get it back to me. Then I had to get it back to you guys before, the November 17th meeting. You guys had to sign off on it. Then I had to tweak it. Then it had to go back to Libby again. So, and then I had a problem with my printer. So I didn't mail the letters till this morning. I believe Tara sent her letters off last Monday. So, in one sense, I thought that maybe a coordinated effort would have been better so that they were getting contacted within a day or two of each other. But then I thought, no, it's probably better that they're getting hit 2-3 times. They get the message, even though they've complied, they're hearing from us, and then they're hearing from Tara. So we'll see what happens.
Peter, thank you for all of those efforts and the time involved.
Mhm.
Truly appreciate it. I think I speak for the whole board. Thank you. There's nothing else from the board on the letter to the ferry lines. We'll move to new business. Update on Coastal Resilience Advisory Committee efforts. Mr. Brace.
Yes. So at our last meeting on the 24th, the the town's coastal resilience consultants, Arcadis, gave a presentation to the board showing, the situation, the background, and, where they're going to be going, and the plan for helping us write the plan. Very, very informative. I sent all of you guys the YouTube link for that meeting so you can check it out and watch it. They being consultants led by a guy named Trevor, are going to be meeting with all the stakeholders that are involved in the plan, and that's a lot of people. Specifically, they want to meet with us, and so I sent that guy our meeting schedule for this month. He said he was going to be, meeting with us early in December. Obviously didn't contact me, so for this meeting, so maybe it'll be for the 15th, but it'll be about a 30-minute presentation at our meeting, saying what's going on and looking for our input. So
Do you want to reach out and give him a little reminder that we'd love to have him join us?
sure,
Thank you, Peter.
I'll remind him of our next meeting and then the meeting in January.
Okay. Board members, comments, thoughts, ideas?
It looks like they're off to a good start. I watched video today, and I think they got a good plan. We'll see what they come up with.
Okay. Public questions or comment? Tonight's meeting? Seeing or hearing any? Board members, anything you'd like to add to our next meeting? I'd just like to recap tonight that, you know, Sheila said she'd come to our next meeting. I want to have, you know, I just want to be prepared because this has gone on for so long that some things could easily, you know, slip our mind. It was really important to us to be involved and have some input in these liveaboard regulations. I believe it was Mr. Bossy had brought in a copy of a nice registration form. Is that copy available in print or on computer so that Peter can send it to Sheila so she can review it and know ahead of time what we're looking at? I'll get in touch with her, you know, about how I feel about abandoned boats and what she can possibly do to keep this abandonment thing from happening, and if not, to flex an authoritative muscle, so to speak, if it does happen again. She already has some tools in place for discipline in this manner, and personally I want to see these disciplinary actions used, and so she already has those tools in place. It's a matter of using them. And really the Airbnb thing was all up to her anyway. So for the most part, unless if any board members had anything they wanted to add to that, let's have it prepared for next week.
Peter, did you send this to you so you can send it out again, or are you the sample agreement?
What did you say?
Did you want me to forward this agreement to you to send out to people as a straw man for the conversation, or do we all still have that?
So you sent it out before?
I did, but you know, everybody's filing systems aren't the same on their computer.
Yeah, if you want to send it to me, that's fine. I'll pass it around.
Okay.
Okay, great.
And Andy, you want me to send that to Sheila? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think Sheila should see that. It looked like a very thorough one to me in comparison to what's being used. And she seemed amenable to updating that registration form. So if you get it in her hands and she can see it ahead of time, you know, then she can let us know how she feels about it at the next meeting if she's able to make it. So. And also, you know, if anybody has the time to look into Petrol Landing, who the land bank acquired it from, and its past uses, it would be nice to.
Mr. Chairman, I looked it up. It was David Walker.
David Walker.
Right.
All right. That's Steve's brother, or was that the doctor's name? Do you know? Ginger?
No, he was Henry.
The doctor
H. Brooks.
The doctor was Henry?
Yeah, it was, I believe it was, he was H. Brooks Walker, the
Okay.
doctor. Yeah.
And Steve's the guy we always saw around. I'm sorry, what was the name you said, Dave?
David was the registration.
All right. You ever hear of him, Ginger?
I don't know the family very well, so I don't know. Can't say one way or the other.
All right. I'm just turning to you because you know you're an old wharf rat yourself, so I thought you might be more familiar with that other end of the wharves. So
No, what I can say is that the Andrews family used to occasionally we would unload our scallops on right on Easy Street at high tide. And that was before they built that little, you know, ice cream and water watching plaza there. You know, put in the sidewalk. That was all parking.
yes,
Before.
right.
And
right.
yeah. So so they got rid of all of those spaces for vehicles and made a seating area, which granted is a lovely spot to sit and look at the water. But we actually at one point had a right of way across the building between us and the neighbors, and they would shove boats in and out there too. So that's a totally different little chunk of history, and
Yes.
kind of irrelevant to Petra Landing, except that it shows that we are losing public access to the water.
Well, it is relevant in that respect. So, I mean, now the land bank has even more property there with the Dealey property, and it doesn't appear that, you know, it's as accessible as it could be for fishermen's use. You know, all of
Yeah.
these uses.
Actually, the older one was on North Wharf itself, next to Mary Slade. There, you could see where the bulkhead was. Yeah, there's that little indentation in the lawn.
Yes.
That used to be that used to be a place to put your skiff in.
Interesting.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Ginger. If there's nothing for recap from tonight or items for our next meeting, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. Moved by Ginger, I'll say, seconded by Mr. Brace. Aye, Mr. Bossy?
Aye.
Aye, Mr. Sidlowski?
Aye.
I myself, Mr. Lowell, approve to adjourn. I think the motion's made, seconded, approved unanimously. Once again, so sorry for the delay. I'll really try to have my act together next time. The tech's gonna come over to the house this time. We tried a little test meeting last night. It worked smooth as silk. We were on board in Zoom within seconds. So thanks, guys.
Good luck with that.
Next meeting's December 15th.
Okay.